So the FM26 beta has been out for less than 24 hours, and I thought I'd simulate an entire season of the game to see what happens across the English pyramid. Premier League, Championship, League 1 and League 2. What happens? Well, we'll take a little look next. That's right, folks, we're back once again with another video today. It is a simulation video, and we're going to take a look at FM26. What will happen according to the platform? Will Rovers get promoted? Will they get relegated? What about across Europe? We'll take a deep dive in that as well. So if you're new, subscribe, smash the like wherever you are. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's get a good, clear indication of what's going on. But yeah, I created it earlier today. I simulated the entire season. And of course, I want to find out just, of course, what they expect to happen in the English pyramid. So sit tight while we wrap up the season. Okay, folks, here we are at the end of May, and let's take a deep dive at what's went on over in the Premier League. First and foremost, let's jump on over, and as you can see it, top of the table right there, winners, it is Arsenal with 92 points, beating Liverpool just by the 1 point. Goodness gracious me. In the top four, we have City, Spurs, of course, Newcastle United are fifth, Brighton all the way up into sixth. And down the bottom, we've got Leeds, West Ham going down. Burnley are joining them as well, which, of course, is what we expect to see as well. Not the best seasons for Manchester United still. And, of course, maybe we'll take a look at the managerial situation at Manchester United. Surely, Amarin's gone in this bizarro universe. Click it on there. We can see, again, I'm still trying to find my way around the new setup here. But let's take a look about the club, maybe. Manager, does it say it somewhere? I don't bloody know. There it is. Sorry. Ange. So as you see with the new manager, they have replaced the manager, Ange Postecoglou, who's come in to take over Manchester United. I don't know if that would ever happen in the real world. I think his stock's now taking a bit of a plummet. But of course, hey, you know... is what it is. So any other surprises there? Villa down to 11th. Sunderland hanging on in there as well. But both Leeds and Burnley, who were promoted last time round, will drop back down to the Championship. Let's take a look at maybe the top goal scorers for the Premier League. So let's hop back into there and let's have a little look at the top goal scorers. So the top goal scorer for this season, the 2025-2026 season over in FM26, was Erling Haaland, chipping in with 24 goals in 35 matches. Gyökeres picking up 20 goals, just 20 goals in his Premiership campaign. Nick Waltemada chipping in with 18 goals, not too shabby there. Kalou Omani also getting some goals for Spurs as well. So any surprise in that? Isak does get on the mark, 13 goals for him. Forest picking up this guy here, and Arnaud Koulibaly chipping in with 11 goals across the game. Man United's top scorer is Sesko with 13. So dropping down division to the Championship, you can see Ipswich and Southampton do get it right in the end. 94 points for Ipswich, just 8 defeats. Southampton making a move up to second. QPR getting the playoffs with the likes of Sheffield United, Norwich and Leicester occupying them. I'd be happy with this. Blackburn Rovers into 11th. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. Millwall, Sheffield Wednesday and Portsmouth going down. Of course, currently you see Millwall flying high in the playoffs currently across England's second tier. And also in the top goal scorers rankings there, Haji Wright gets himself 19 goals this year. Tom Cannon with 18. Josh Sargent also getting 18. Sammy Smonich also getting a whole bunch there, 18 goals as well. Rovers, top goal scorer, Andrew Johnson with 12. I'm not too sure about that. Speaking of Rovers, let's take a deep dive into Rovers and have a look at how we made out. Big Val's still there. Of course, the goals came through Andy Good-Johnson. Morishita chipping in with 9 as well. Not too shabby in his first season. Campbell as well with 7. Hedges getting 5. And, of course, Yuki and the likes getting some more goals as well. Makta Gay getting a handful from the subs bench. It looks pretty much close to the mark at the moment, as what you would imagine with the starting 11. Maktar not getting many games, settling for a spot on the bench. So that's, of course, England's second tier and, of course, Blackburn Rovers. What about dropping down a further division? Well, in League 1, it is Huddersfield Town get themselves promoted back to the second tier, finishing as champions with 90 points. Cardiff finishing in second. And, of course, the playoffs had Luton, Plymouth, Stockport and Bradford, which, of course, is happening right now. They're doing A-OK. They're getting themselves promoted via those player spot for the first time to return to the second tier in a long time. Bolton just missing out Barnsley as well. Burton Hires 9th. And going down, Northampton, Rotherham, Port Vale and Stevenage, who, of course, are flying high in the real world. Top goal scorer over in League One is Laurent Talage from Plymouth, 18 goals for him. Salich from Cardiff, also up there with 17. Alfie May, Carl Wharton also on 17 as well. Paul Mullen from Wigan, just 16 goals for him this past season. And finally into League Two, Colchester United coming out on top, 89 points. Cambridge joined them, and Walsall with the third automatic spot. Playoffs go down to Chesterfield with Gillingham, Cheltenham and Barrow occupying those other playoff spots, but Chesterfield getting the nod. Going down is Oldham and Harrogate, which of course is a shame, but of course not in the real world. That's a completely different story. And if you do care, look at the top goal scorers over in League Two. And of course it's Cameron Dixon from Crawley there with 18 goals. Lee Bonis up there with 17, and Josh Gordon from Barrow with 16 for those guys. So that is a quick take, a taster of what went on over in the league pyramids. What about the cups? Well, over in the FA Cup, Aston Villa coming out on top with a 2-1 win over Fulham. What a cracking final that looks like. Of course, an unfamiliar name on the receiving end of that. So kudos to Villa. Meanwhile, earlier in the season, business as usual, Man City getting some silverware with a 3-1 win over Nottingham Forest in the Carabao Cup. For those interested, a quick look at the Conference League. Anderlecht coming out top with a 3-2 extra time victory over Besiktas to claim some glory for Belgium outfit. Dropping down. Look at the Europa League. Roma coming out on top over Porto with a 1-0 win. Evan Ferguson chipping in with a 1-0 goal for Roma. And the big one sees Barcelona beating Real Madrid in a La Liga final. 2-1 winners on the night to bring the title back to Barcelona. So before we wrap this sucker up, a quick recap of... let's take a little look at some of the managers that are still all... Before we wrap this sucker up, I'm going to run through the manager situation over in the English football pyramid and see who's changed, of course, throughout the course of the season. Looks like Arteta's still in charge of Arsenal, Unai Emery as well for Aston Villa. Barnsley on the lookout for a new manager. Valérien Ismaël still in charge of Blackburn Rovers. Nigel Pearson in charge of Blackpool. Sergio Raimundo's in charge of Bolton. Moving down, Keith Andrews remains at Brentford, as does Fabian Hutzler. Kevin Nolan now in charge of Bristol Rovers. Jonathan Woodgate returns to management with Bromley. Burnley on the lookout for a new coach. Cardiff's coach still the same. Richie Baker's in charge. Barker's in charge of Charlton. Chelsea are on the lookout for a new coach. Still some familiar names there. Coventry also looking for a new manager as well. Southgate in charge over at Crystal Palace. Steve Bruce is in at Doncaster. David Moyes still with Everton. Ruud van Nistelrooy in charge of Fulham. That's interesting. Gareth Ainsworth still in charge. Darren Ferguson now in charge over at Hull, with Javier Hernandez in charge of Leeds. Arnie Slot still there. Jack Wilshere's in charge at Luton. That's a fresh one. Of course, we talked about Ange earlier. Danny Rolls in charge of Borough. Of course, he's just made the move to Rangers in the real world. Roberto De Zerbri's in charge of Newcastle. I wonder what went wrong there. Stephen Craney at Northampton. Ian Manning still at charge at Norwich. Dyche at Nottingham Forest. Routes at there. Yep. Cleverley's in Plymouth. Heckenbottom is at Preston. That's still the stuff there. Gary Monk in charge of Rotherham. Wilder there. Per Appleton. Yep. Flemmy Frank at Spurs. Richard Lebree. Derek Allen's back in management with Swindon. Down to the bottom end here. Ruben Amorim is in charge of West Ham United. John Terry finally into management with Wrexham. So that's, of course, an interesting look at the world of football, Corner Football Manager 2026. Of course, don't forget, we are doing daily... So there you have it, folks. That's FM26 expectations for the coming season. Of course, it looks like Arsenal are going to finally win that Premier League title. Rovers are going to have to settle for another season in the Championship. And, of course, Barcelona regaining some glory over in Europe. I want to remind you that we are doing daily episodes of my Blackburn Rovers rebuild. Of course, we started off with a bit of a bump, but hopefully we'll be getting off to some winning games pretty soon. But, of course, remember to subscribe, smash the like wherever you are in the world. But, of course, we'll be back with some more updates on FM26 as and when we get them.